On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks fall to the overmatched New Orleans Pelicans. And I'm going to tell you why. It has nothing to do with the rotation. On today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, win or lose, including YouTube. Or the best way you can help us grow the show is to comment anything below. Let us know. Give me one. Just one. Got Raccoon Squad? Just one. Just give me one reason why the Mavericks lost this game. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com, Studio 41, the certified Facu boy, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Well, yesterday's pod, I said something about shaving my beard. The next time we lost, I'm not shaving my beard yet.
No, until they stop winning. So you get to shave your beard now. And then start it over.
Well, are we sure they're going to win on Thursday? So, just kidding.
Oh,
Twitter's fun though.
Happy birthday to Isaac Harris. We'll let it ride for him a little bit. Let it ride.
Shout out to the Mavs for winning on my birthday. Really appreciate that.
Making it a good day. What kind of cake did you do?
Got some cheesecake.
Ooh.
Did cheesecake instead of regular cake. Is it a hot take that I prefer cheesecake instead of
Where are
regular
you
cake?
with cheesecake, ice cream cake, or regular cake?
Oh, cheesecake.
Cheesecake over it. Okay, let us know in the comments below. Are you a cheesecake or regular cake or even ice cream cake? Like one of the three, I guess you got to pick.
And you know what? No matter what you pick, it doesn't determine like some extreme thing. Shout out to the guy who said, because I like rings of power means I'm a double vaxxed. All this, it's like, all right, guys, because I like rings of power. Okay. Shout out my guy.
Yeah, shout out to that guy. Shout out
the hell of the comments.
Shout out to that guy. All right, on today's show, we're going to tell you why the Dallas Mavericks lost this game. Talk about Luka Doncic in the fourth quarter, the Mavericks struggles and all that. But the Mavericks lose 113 to 111. I logged into Twitter, as I shouldn't have, right after a game like this. Maybe not the best for your mental health, but I think it is one of the best ways to check out instant reaction from a bunch of different people. And I put a bunch of Mavs fans in my Mavs Twitter list because I just want to see what everyone's thinking about the game. Maybe a mistake. But I was
gonna make a joke, but no.
I saw. I consider the opinions of fans to be just as important as people of the media.
That's good.
And so I was watching just this flood and this stream of consciousness from everybody. I saw so much. Christian Wood's got to play more.
I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played more.
That JaVale McGee sucks. Get him out of here. JaVale McGee. Reggie Bullock can't hit a shot. Just all this different stuff about rotations and what Jason Kidd has to change and where he has to bring somebody in, and Facu should never play again and all this kind of stuff. This game had nothing to do with minutes or rotation. This Mavericks team with this same rotation just blew out the Memphis Grizzlies, and we were all celebrating and excited, and you at home probably were super happy about that game and thought, this Mavericks team is good. And then they go up against the Pelicans without Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and Herb Jones. Three very important starters for them. They're down three guys. Mavs are down Tim Hardaway Jr., but the Pelicans are down three starters. And the Mavericks lose like that. They allow 40 points in the first quarter. Like, this game started and ended for me with how bad the Mavs defense was.
I love the fan reaction to this game because I saw this is one of those games where if whatever you want to blame it on, you can. I've seen everything from, one with Facu. I've seen one from, hey, he's better than Bullock. And then I saw another tweet saying that we should have cut him now. I've seen things blaming JaVale's 12 minutes. I've seen blaming Jason Kidd. I've seen blaming Luka. You can pick what you want. Because like you said, when you look at the minute distribution in this game, Christian Wood played almost 30 minutes in this game. JaVale McGee played 12. Like, yes, JaVale didn't look great early on, but I'm not ready to sit here and say, man, they lost this game because JaVale's 12 minutes.
And I think there are legitimate complaints or legitimate criticisms with where the minutes should go and the rotation should change a little bit. And they're gonna adjust things here and there. But the rotation and the offense really did not make the Mavericks lose this game. Right? It was the effort, it was their principles, it was how they defended in this game, the way that they just underestimated this Pelicans team and came out that way, had that mentality, and just let them get to the rim. I mean, they scored eight buckets at the rim in the first quarter. I mean, it was just not a good defensive performance. I thought Luka defensively was awful. For as good as he was on offense through the first 3 quarters, he was just that bad on defense. And I think that a lot of other players took their cues from him and had rough nights.
It kind of reminded me of, I watched a little bit on this past Sunday, the Panthers and Buccaneers play in NFL.
A little Baker action?
And no, he sucks. And, they just traded McCaffrey to San Francisco, and it felt like that team just had the mojo of, we lost our best player.
Nobody believes in us.
Nobody believes in us, but we're going to, it doesn't matter. We're not losing this game type of thing. And I know it's a little bit different situation, but obviously no Ingram concussion, no Zion, the hip thing. And Herb Jones too. And it's like, they still had CJ, they still have Valanciunas stuff, but it's like these guys start off from the very beginning saying, all right, everybody's counting us out in this game. And as much as we want to laugh about TNT crew, Barkley even talked about this before the game in the pregame thing, was saying, hey, watch out. This is one of those situations to
trap
where
game.
Yep, it's a trap game. A couple, the top guys are out. You think it's easy win, and they just couldn't defend. That's it. I agree with you. It's not I'm not looking at a lot of the rotation stuff. I'm not looking at, even looking at Christian Wood. He had another great game. He played 10 out of the 12 minutes, over 10 minutes of the fourth quarter in this game. So it wasn't even oh man, they went with JaVale the last 6 minutes of the fourth, and Christian Wood just sat on the bench. He played a lot of the fourth. He played 30 minutes tonight. So I think if you're looking at what minutes he could he take a little bit of Maxi's if you want that, maybe 1 or 2 of JaVale's, but it was the defense from the start. They couldn't guard the perimeter. They were knocking down threes. The Pelicans were also super hot. They could not miss a shot early on, but still it was the Mavs defense from start to finish tonight.
Yeah, the perimeter defense just broke down, and that's from not being ready for the game, right? This defense, we've said it time and time again. I'm going to say it again. This defense takes a lot of effort. Takes a lot of communication. To be as good as the Mavericks were defensively last year that got them to the Western Conference Finals, you have to defend at a high level. And when you come out and you're like, well, I'll just let Jose Alvarado get by me here real quick, or I'll just let Najee Marshall just cut back door behind me because somebody else will pick him up. It doesn't matter. We'll recover on this. But if everybody has that same mentality, it felt like all 5 players, all 5 Mavericks on the floor had that same mentality. Somebody else will pick it up. Then it doesn't work, because just if you have one small slip. Now, when you saw the Mavs defense works well, then you're forcing teams to make just the pass just a little bit off so that the player can't just catch it in motion and run to the basket or run to their spot or catch it and shoot. It's just off a little bit, and it sets the offense off a lot. They get to the right spots, they get to the rotations in the right places, and it just offsets another team's offense just a little bit so that they aren't as good or aren't as effective. If the Mavericks defense is off just a little bit, it doesn't allow those things, and you can just get right by some of these guys because they're just not as physically talented as a lot of the really good defensive players in the league. JaVale McGee's start was really, really bad, and it wasn't the reason why they lost the game, but it did not help to start. That I think he allowed 12 points personally. Jonas Valanciunas dunks, Jose Alvarado drove on him twice. Just little things here and there where I'm just contest that shot. Just go over and contest that. And it wasn't the reason they lost the full game, but it started them off in a really bad spot.
Well, yeah, you bring JaVale in. When we were talking, I was really high on the JaVale edition, and I'm not sitting there saying, hey, we're writing it off 3 games in.
You've climbed down the hill a little bit, though. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
Just because the hill I was on was, hey, he's an upgrade over Dwight in the 15 minutes now he's going to play. He's not even playing 15 minutes right now. But what I thought he was going to upgrade over Dwight was protecting the paint. And he had that block on CJ early on. It was
great.
Nice block. Great. And then Alvarado scores 3 baskets, it feels like, right in his face. And I'm like, all righty, let's get the hand up. Let's get a few blocks there. But maybe after the break, let's talk a little bit more about Luka because there's something I want to talk about him.
There are some things to talk about with Luka and his decision making and how his game progressed in this one. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about LinkedIn. LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like high stakes for your small business. It feels like you're playing the lottery where you're like, all right, just please make this person be cool. Please be cool. Please be cool. Please be cool. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and, get this, for free. Go to LinkedIn, see how easy it is to add jobs. Also, if you're a job seeker, go see how easy it is to go find a job too. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, that's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. You can post your job for free there. See how easy it is. Try it out. What are you going to lose? A little bit of time. That's it. It's on the clock. Terms and conditions apply. Again, it's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen. After this, go check out Locked On Sports Today. It's really a great program. I've listened to it, I don't know, the last like 5 or 6 days, and it's great. Peter Bukowski hosts it and has all the biggest sports stories from the local experts. So we'll go on there if there's a big Mavs story, big NBA story. You have people go on there. Andy Kamenetsky was talking about the Lakers on there. You have World Series talk. You have NFL talk all the time. It's great stuff. Locked On Sports Today, YouTube, or on the podcast feed. All right, Isaac, tell me about Luka.
I think he played right into the Pelicans' game plan tonight.
Ooh.
And
I want to, be able to touch the car.
So no Herb Jones tonight. So that takes out the guys guarding Luka. They put Najee Marshall on him. Well, you know exactly what Luka's going to think. Dude, I'm going to score all day.
Barbecue chicken, baby.
First quarter, shot attempts. They gave up 40 points in the first quarter. So, one, we've already declared that defense is why they lost.
That's why they lost.
But I also want to talk about the game plan they gave for Luka because they didn't try to double Luka a lot, especially early in the game. Late in the game, they brought a double on Luka, but they chose the route. We talk about this all the time. A lot of teams choose one of two routes. Either they're going to try to limit Luka and dare the other guys to beat you, or let Luka cook and take out the other shooters. That's what the Pelicans did tonight. And they said, hey, what was the first play of the game? They just cleared it out, did a post-up with Luka and Najee Marshall. Luka scored. Second play of the game. Luka does a fadeaway on Najee Marshall after posting him up. He misses a shot. He ends with 37 points tonight, and that's great. It looks great in the box score. But you know who couldn't get going tonight? Reggie Bullock. Some of these shooters, they're saying, hey, and this is where I go back to like LeBron Cleveland days. What was LeBron so good at? Now, this is a rare moment here. You're going to hear me brag on LeBron. Something LeBron did so well in his prime was he would start games by trying to get his guys going. Because it's like he knew, hey, I can turn this switch anytime, but I need to get my shooters. I need to get my Kyle Korvers of the world hitting the corner threes. Your brother, and getting these guys feeling good, feeling confident. First quarter shot attempts, Luka Doncic 12. The next guy was Spencer Dinwiddie at 4.
He's doing it himself.
Christian Wood 3, and Reggie and Dorian in the first quarter, the one they lost 40-31. Reggie shot 1 shot, Dorian shot 2 shots. And I'm not saying that's like, hey, just because they don't get shots in the first quarter doesn't mean that they're going to shoot it well the rest of the game. But maybe that's something that he can look at. He's been a great first quarter scorer. That's been his thing. But maybe it's something it's like, especially if a guy's in a slump or whatever it is, that you try to get the other guys going early on, knowing, hey, I'm so good I can flip the switch later on. So I just think he played into that game plan a lot. They chose to let him cook and try to take out the shooters. And honestly, it worked because hardly anybody else hit a shot. So with 3-pointers and the 3-point shooters.
This is the game plan that we saw the Clippers deploy in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Just allow Luka to cook. That's why he scored so many points in those Clippers series, but he didn't have a ton of assists. How many assists did he average in those series? Like 5, 6, something like that. They're going to cut off passing lanes. They're going to one-on-one guard Luka, cut off passing lanes and choke the inside of the defense a little bit to where he just can't kick out the way that he normally would. And they don't overhelp. They're not going to come in and allow somebody to be wide open. They'll just all right. Well,
even when the big switch, when Valanciunas, Larry Nance, these guys got switch. Jackson Hayes,
go die over there. That's fine. Yeah, we just don't want the 3.
Well, and they're saying Luka take the step back. He attempted 13 threes tonight. He's 2 of 13 from 3. So this is what they chose to do. And tonight, he wasn't as efficient shooting the basketball as far as 3-pointers go. He's 16 of 30 from the field total, but he missed 11 threes tonight. Whenever you look at Reggie and Dorian, they went 1 of 8 combined from 3 tonight. So that's where there's probably a little shift of, and this is both coaching, I would say, and Jason Kidd to recognize this of like, all right, they're just giving him to Luka. How can we get the other guys going? So anyway, I just thought that was an important part of the game.
For sure. It's on defense. Their offense was fine. Like their offense was, they scored 119.4 points per 100 possessions. That's still better than the offense that when a couple years ago, remember when the Mavericks had the best offense in NBA history? That's still higher than that. So they had a good offense. Like they had an efficient offense. They scored in this game. They did not defend, but there's a couple times down the floor where I'm just like, if this game is going to be like this, where everybody just scores back and forth, and the Pelicans are scoring quickly, and the Mavericks have to score quickly, what are some of these possessions? Like, what is the offense? Sometimes it's Luka, and everybody else can like Facundo Campazzo out of here. You know what I mean? Like, just like get out. Just seemed like there was no real get out. It just seemed like there was no real intention to some of the offense to me, and maybe it's Luka just biting for some of those like one-on-ones, or maybe it's just they were like, all right, we'll just go in there and this is our offense. Luka just does his thing and everybody else kind of roams around a little bit here and there. And you could kind of, but then when Luka was out, you could see it too. It's like Dinwiddie spent like 3 or 4, maybe 5 possessions in this game just trying to get like pop the ball around and swing it around so that Christian Wood can get a post up on a mismatch, right? It's the same kind of thing. It's Luka on a mismatch or it's Christian Wood on a mismatch where everyone else is just standing pat. And you have to be so good. Like Luka had to be so good on those mismatches in order to make that work. Christian Wood would have had to been so good on those mismatches to make that game plan work because of how bad the defense was on the other side, because you have to just outscore teams like that.
And he was pretty good. I mean, Christian Wood, again, I mean, what a performance by him. 23 points in those 29, 30 minutes. He missed 2 shots and only hit all 3 threes that he took. Like another incredibly efficient night for him. So, I mean, you can't ask more for what Christian Wood has given you in that 6-man role. And the minute distribution is kind of what we expected. It's like, hey, JaVale's going to play like 15. Christian Wood's going to play in that 28, 30 range, somewhere through there. He's going to double his minutes. He's just playing really well. In
a game like this, would you just say screw it and just like, all right, let's just try to outscore. Let's just do Luka and Christian Wood and Dinwiddie and, whoever else for the rest of this game. Honestly, that's what they tried. And they took him out for like a minute and 50 seconds in the fourth. But I think that was more of a breather for him. I mean, he played 10 straight. Well, but play him with Luka. Like we didn't see him play with Luka. How many in the fourth quarter? Luka played just about 7 minutes. So that's like his normal. That's his normal rotation. He played the last 7, and Wood got taken out in the middle of that. So I don't know.
And the fourth quarter is what they got to look at too. I think it was Bobby Corral who tweeted out that the Mavs have been leading after 3 quarters in the first 3 games, and they've lost 2 of those. We know they gave up the big lead in Phoenix.
One of them, they're up by like 35. So,
yeah. And in this game, they were up by 7 points in the fourth quarter. They were up, 94 to 87 in the fourth quarter, and they ended up losing this game. So they got to figure out the fourth quarter. Starting is a dumb conversation to me. Don't care anything about the starters. What I do care about is they got to figure out the fourth quarter rotation. Is it matching Christian Wood with Luka Doncic late and then matching those minutes? Can JaVale play without Luka? That's something, because going into this game, he'd only played like 30 seconds without Luka in the first 2 games, something like that.
Isaac JaVale had people on Twitter calling for Dwight Powell to get off the bench.
That's the irony of that. Is so funny because it's like, I know some of y'all really hated on Dwight, and now you're wanting him back.
That's like when everyone was calling for a rebrand, and then they threw out the graffiti jerseys.
Oh,
you're like, hey,
why did you have to bring up the graffiti?
You're like, hey, it could be like this. Life is good, but it can be better. Graffiti jerseys.
Is that new Mavs man voice? Or?
No, new Mavs man probably sounds like a space alien. That's one small step for Mavs man. One giant leap for a mascot pound.
All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about Facu's debut.
His debut. Why did he play so much? We'll tell you why coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetOnline.
Stay with us, Argentina fans, listeners. Stay with us.
Argentina, stay with us. We'll tell you about BetOnline. It's the best place to check out the odds and lines inside and outside of sports. Dads do the ads.
So, Nick, do you have a line pulled up for an upcoming game? Because I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, here we'll keep with this one. Lakers at Nuggets.
Ooh, Lakers at Nuggets.
At Nuggets. This is for
This
Wednesday.
is a game well, since Russ is doubtful to play,
should the Lakers be favored then since he's not?
I'm going to say Nuggets by 9.5.
Nuggets by 6. This is the first one you've been way off on.
What?
Nuggets by 6.
What in God's green earth? Why did they think they're even close to the Nuggets?
All right, get this one. Rockets at Jazz. Before the season, you would have been like, "Oh, this is like a pick'em." This would have been Jazz by 1, Jazz by 2. What do you think it is now?
Oh, it's going to be Jazz by like 7.5.
Jazz by 6, -6 on that one.
Okay.
You can go check out all. There's so many interesting lines. Go check it out. It's BetOnline. It's where the game starts. All right, Argentina. All right, Isaac. Let's talk about Facundo Campazzo. He got his debut for the Dallas Mavericks, and we saw him play just about 13 minutes. We saw him get 2 great assists, 2 great steals, hit a 3, have to take a heaving 3 that he shouldn't have to take at the end of a shot clock. But we saw him play just about as much as Josh Green did. What did you see from Compazzo in that stretch, his debut?
Well, yeah, I was a little surprised. I mean, I was just on yesterday's pod saying I didn't think he'd play because he hadn't really got to practice much with the team because of his visa issues. But I think it was pretty much he just had to play. Tells you a little bit how they feel about Jaden Hardy.
It does.
But
Party, let's go party.
I really do wonder if he would have played if Tim Hardaway would have played. And I do think this isn't an excuse for why they lost. I do think they missed Tim's shooting in this game and a little bit of his punch off the bench.
Well, you could see it with those moments that I talked about in the second segment where Dinwiddie was trying to get Christian Wood in the paint. He was like just kept throwing it to him, and there wasn't enough space because they didn't have Tim's like gravity as a shooter out there to pull the defense out a little bit more.
Yeah. But anyway, in his minutes, I mean, I thought there were different times. Obviously, he hit a 3 in this game. He did give the bench a little bit of boost in this, just like, hey, there's just another guy out there that can handle the ball, that can, he's just more comfortable with the basketball than Josh Green. So it's like he can, dribble through the paint and kick it out. And it's like, I know it sounds really dumb to have a point guard out there that can do that stuff, but sometimes you just need somebody that can dribble and pass and just run this motion, go through the stuff. So he did that. There's nothing I'm not clamoring for more minutes right now, but I'm also not saying he should be cut. So yeah, just give it more time. There was a weird moment I think it was the 4th, I know it was the second half, that they had him, Dinwiddie, and Luka on the floor at the same time. And I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, that was strange. Like they're just using him as like a spot shooter. Like, is that what we're doing? Why wouldn't we just use Hardy in that spot? That was interesting to me. At least you get a little more size and probably better spot up shooting. Maybe the Mavericks don't think that. Maybe the coaching staff thinks that Compazzo's a better spot up shooter than Hardy is. But yeah, that was interesting to me. He does give them a little bit of a jolt, like a little bit of like extra speed. He speeds up the game a little bit more when he's out there. Him and Josh Green both kind of do that. So putting them both in the game at the same time is interesting to try and like just give him a change of pace, like you said. It gives the team a little bit of jolt. It's going to take him a little while to get comfortable with the rest of the team to set up any kind of offense. Because anytime he got the ball on offense, it was like, someone set a screen for me. It's like it felt like that's the exact like process he was going through in that, trying to figure out what to do whenever he got the ball. And you're like, okay, you're a point guard, you got to know. And he doesn't, because he just got here. Like he just joined the Mavericks. This is his first day like that he actually could do stuff. And so, or he practiced once. He may have practiced once. This is the first game. So we saw something from him. He's pesky on defense though. He's gonna get beat in the post. He's gonna get posted up. He's gonna get beat off the dribble here and there. But he'll go for loose balls. He'll get in passing lanes. He got those 2 steals, and you'll see that. And so he'll
get tangled up with some people, and it'll be fun.
We saw almost the full complement of Compazzo in this game in certain points. But yeah, it does tell you a little bit about what they feel about Hardy, Pinson, like those end of the bench type guys. Frank was obviously out, so that kind of changes things. Frank and Tim were both out. So I think if Tim was healthy, I don't think Facu would have played. If Frank and Tim were healthy, I don't think Facu would have played even more than I do.
Yeah, and to come back full circle, this was all about defense, man. Like they played 9 players in this game. The Pelicans did. 8 of the 9 players scored in double digits. What? Like what what kind of thing is that? They had spread out scoring. They obviously didn't have a guy. I mean, their high score was freaking Trey Murphy, who's never missed a shot his entire universe. This is like modern day Dale Ellis or something. 4 for 4 from 3. He was a lot of fun tonight, but outside of that, nobody had over 15 points.
Isaac, fun for who? He was fun for who?
Oh, he's fun for the Pelicans.
Okay.
They're a fun team.
Go listen to Locked On Pels and Jake Madison if you had fun watching.
A great host. Great, respectful, professional host in Jake Madison. Go listen to Jake. And that's not sarcasm. He's great. Dyson Daniels, I thought, had some good defensive possessions on Luka, like in the first quarter.
He played a great game in this one. He had, what do you have, 11 points? He had 3 boards, 2 assists, 3 steals. Like, I thought he looked like he belonged out there.
Yeah, he was a minus 18 in this game, which is kind of funny.
Well, Dinwiddie was minus 15, so.
Yeah. But, I don't have too much else about this game. There was some questionable Jason Kidd stuff. Some coaches stuff.
One of the questionable Jason Kidd things is, what's he doing with timeouts? Like, what are timeouts for? This is a question I have. It's felt like he saved some of those for late game situations where he could have just stopped a Pelicans run at a certain point, and then maybe the Mavericks build up a lead, because you should be beating this team. There's no reason why. Like, it felt like it wasn't a vote of confidence in this Mavericks team that he could draw something up to get them to, like, all right, let's charge back in and get a lead so that we. He didn't want to leave. He left stuff on the table. It felt like trying to save time. About
like that clause in his contract.
He's not allowed to call timeouts.
Well, he has this clause in his contract to where every timeout goes unused, he gets another 100,000, and because it shows that hey, I can coach and be really good.
Cuban just looks at the scoreboard at the end of games, opens a briefcase, and just hands him the racks. Look
it up. Look it up. Look at the clauses in his contract.
It felt like that, man. Like just for momentum's sake, the crowd was such a big factor, I thought, in this game. You could hear that maybe the TNT mics were picking them up a little bit hot, but it felt like the crowd was really getting into it. You could see Luka getting into it with the crowd when he airballed a couple threes. You could tell he was laughing back and forth with the crowd. He loves that stuff. It usually motivates him. And I felt like in this game, he didn't have enough at the end of this game because he put so much into the first 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, he just didn't have enough in it.
Yeah, and in the last few possessions, we haven't even broke those down really. Yeah. But
they lost it before then.
Well, Luka's decision to go for the layup with 4 seconds left on the clock, that was really interesting. Go for the layup and foul game. It really gets dicey when you get under 5 or 6 seconds. You don't have much time to, you're one outlet pass away from the game just being over if they can get an inbounds pass and get the defender screened on him. They didn't, and Devontae Graham ended up missing the shot. They ended up having a chance to win the game, and should Luka have driven?
Oh, here we go.
Sorry.
Here we go. No, I think what was interesting was Dorian was the inbounder on that final play. Dorian was the inbounder, right? And then he hands it off to Luka, and then he just stays over on the left wing. He didn't clear out. I saw Luka kind of motion to somebody afterwards, get out on this play. It felt like Dorian just kind of stood there, and it crowded Luka, so he had to take a longer step back than he normally takes, and it didn't come off as cleanly as it normally does. And so he missed. And so I wonder if that was part of it at the end, but he did get a shot off. I mean, it was a real deep step back 3, and he hadn't been shooting well from 3 this whole game, so maybe you hope for something else, but it's only 4 seconds. Again, the game came down to more than that. At about the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter, the Pelicans had come back and built a 106-102 lead, and I was like, why has Kidd not called the timeout yet? The Mavericks had a 7-point lead at some point. Now it's dwindled down, and the Pelicans got the lead back. I'm like, there's just no timeout during that stretch, and I was just curious why he wouldn't do that. Maybe he ascribes to the Phil Jackson rule of they'll figure it out. But I didn't feel like these Mavs were going to figure it out in this game tonight.
Yeah, it was an extra $100K per timeout, and we saw that in action during the game.
I guess so.
I don't have anything else about the game.
You said that several times. You said that several times.
Well, then I had one more thing, and
hey,
because we didn't talk about those last few possessions there, and I do think obviously in hindsight, but they could have went for the 3 there, instead of Luka going for the layup there. But yeah,
there's so many coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and now the Mavericks take their sights to the next game. We'll talk about that one tomorrow, and we'll be back every single day with Locked On Mavs. Go make your second listen, Locked On Sports Today. Great stuff from all across the network. Local experts talking with Peter Bukowski about sports, every sport. Go check it out. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.